Yeah, I'm just an average everyday Joe who's caught something remarkable many years ago. Look! Yeah.
Changing shape. Did you see? It changed shape then.
And my battery's about to go. That is a fully charged battery.
The truth could really be out there. The Ministry of Defence has released 19 files on reported sightings of UFOs.
There are also a few incidents in these files where military pilots, fighter pilots, have reported mysterious objects, things that have been seen on radar and sometimes visually.
Official investigations into UFOs have found that most have a common sense explanation, yet the controversy persists, and the new study concludes that it's unlikely to die away soon.
And the acceleration away from us was terrific.
What sparked your interest in the first place?
Well, simply the fact that I'm a news reporter in this area, and of course I have to report every item of news that comes in, and this was such extraordinary news, if true, of course, and so such reputable people were coming forward, such as the head postmaster of the town, a vicar, his wife, his 3 children, hospital physiotherapist, hospital matron, an army major who alleged that his car was virtually stopped dead at 40 miles an hour.
I've seen one, I've seen one right above me, and if I got a tennis ball out, I could have hit it with a tennis ball.
In recent years, the conversation around UFOs has been dominated by America. The headlines, the whistleblowers, the government hearings, it all seemed to be happening across the Atlantic. But the truth is, the phenomena doesn't recognise borders. And here in the UK, there's a thriving, passionate community of people investigating, experiencing and documenting these strange encounters. Over the years, I've spoken with many of them on the UAP Files podcast. From researchers to subject matter experts to experiencers and witnesses, actors, scientists, musicians, both on camera and behind the scenes, and in the DMs. The UK is buzzing with sightings, experiences and people deeply engaged in the subject. Researchers, skywatchers and everyday witnesses are capturing extraordinary things with increasingly sophisticated technology, and the stigma around speaking out is finally beginning to fade. One of those people is Richard Fawcett. In part 1 of this documentary, Richard explained how he captured something so strange, so unexplainable, that he filmed it. He phoned the police and the Royal Air Force. It was a profound moment for Richard, but at the time he just didn't know what to do with his sighting and footage. He called the authorities and then nothing. So he put the footage away in a cupboard where it sat, untouched, for 25 years. Only recently has he re-engaged with the UFO subject, and with fresh eyes he's begun to analyse what he saw that night. And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, stop this now and watch it first. Because now we pick up where we left off. What really happened that night? What did Richard see? And why did it take him over 2 decades to return to the mystery? On December 15th, 2000, at 6:05 p.m. onwards in Rugeley, Staffordshire, Richard saw an object, a strange orb-like object changing colour from white to red to white again. It was over the A460. Richard was in his garden. He filmed it and he captured 121 minutes of footage. He kept that footage for 25 years. And that's where we are today. And that's where we pick up, because it wasn't just 1 day, it was 3. I took a little bit of heat for the title of part 1 of this video, and that was because I said, is this the most important case? And I know it sounds a bit clickbaity and a bit unnecessary, but genuinely, if you think back to cases in the UK we've not got that many famous cases where we've got the original witness, their full name, we know where they live, they're still alive, they're able to answer our questions today. We've got the original footage. I mean, I've got an hour and 21 minutes of this footage, and we've got the report that was made at the time to the police that's in the archive that we can search and find. So we know the location, we know the time, and we know the date, at least of the initial sighting. And with this case, we know exactly where he was stood because we know which garden it was filmed from. So within a few feet or meters, we know exactly where he was stood. And we also know where the object was seen, or certainly what direction it was seen in, because we've got the sort of roof pitch to the side. How many cases out there do you know that are as good as that for data? Not many. And so, considering that this footage has been sort of locked away for 25 years because Richard did what he thought was the right thing, he informed the police, he informed the Royal Air Force, and no one was particularly interested. And then it sat in a cupboard for 25 years. And now it's digitised, and now we're putting it out on the internet for all to see forevermore. So I think that's an important case, one of the most important cases. And even more important, if we can't resolve it as something conventional or prosaic, and it's a true unknown, well then it's one of the most important cases out there. Now I would say that because I got the scoop, but I genuinely think that this is one of the most important cases, certainly that I've ever come across, certainly from the UK.
The first night of the sighting and the first recording led to 2 more nights of sightings, which are, for me, far more impressive and far more intriguing than the first one ever was. So it just led me to have an awareness that something was going on over there in that neck of the woods, and I should keep the camera handy. And sure enough, it paid off. I got quite a bit more footage.
It's changing shape. Did you see? It changed shape then.
There, look. Can you see the colours? Can you see what it's doing?
Okay, so let's let's stop things there for a second. We know that this incident occurred on the 15th of December 2000 over Rugeley near the A460, overlooking the A460 in a wooded area to the rear. We've looked at that in part 1 and we know the direction that this object has been seen in. Now, I kind of wanted to put this out in a part 1 just to see what the debunkers would come up with and see what people thought. Is it Venus? Is it the moon? Is it Mars? Is it a hot air balloon? All of these theories. And then I thought, well, look, let's see what the theories are. Let's see what the best theories are. And let's try and debunk our own video. Let's see if we can debunk it. And so is that this is Venus. And I quite like that because I've got a really good response to that. It's not Venus, and here's why. So we can see that Venus is in the sky at the time, and there's no disputing that. Looking west, southwest, we know Richard's garden, we know where he would have been looking, and we know the date, 15th December 2000, looking over the A460, Rugeley, Staffordshire, and it was described as a single object seeming to be hovering over a wooded area, changing from white to blue to red to white again. Now, if we look on the Stellarium app, we can see Venus there. We can see that by 7:30 p.m. Venus is long gone, it's out of sight. Now, of course, there's going to be the argument that, well, you don't know what time of day it was, you can't confirm the timestamp, and we do need to do a bit of a recap, but we're going to cover that and we're going to use science and we are going to debunk Venus, but we'll come back to that. First of all, let's have a quick recap from part 1, how we got with the time, the date and the location. In this interview, Richard seemed to believe that it was around about the summertime that this happened. He thinks he remembers wearing sort of summer clothing, getting ready to go out. But we've got documentation from the archives, National Archives, from the government website, from the report made at the time. And it's the only case in that area with that description. He describes the A460, which is exactly where, if we look on the map, his house was pointing in the direction of the A460, which is where he saw the object. That's what he described to me as the location of this object over the period of 3 days. And there's the report. It's his report, and it says the 15th of December 2000.
That date thing has really been bothering me. 15th of December, and I found another article that shows a report. I think it's my report. 15th of December 2000. It must have been. It must have been the 15th of December. I'm kind of with it because our house was on the A460 in Rugeley. Yeah. And it sounds like my description.
So the 15th of December 2000 at between 18:05 to 23:30 roughly. We know the time that it started because the report was made at the time and that's been recorded. And we know what time sort of later in the evening they continued filming from a flight above, because the comment that was made earlier on, oh, the timestamp's wrong, the time is 23:30 roughly, because they're looking at a clock inside the house and verbalising that on camera, which is fantastic.
Okay, you pressed it.
Date and time. 22. We haven't altered the clock. It's 23:23, Rich.
Okay.
Just looking at the alarm clock. It's 23:22, 23.
It's gone, mate. It's gone. It's just razzed off and disappeared. I think. No, it's there.
Now, I held some footage back. I knew that some people were going to point to Venus as being the resolution, the debunk. It's Venus. Ta-da! Gotcha. And I let that play out. I kept back some footage because I knew that that's where people were going to go to, because they were going to use Stellarium. They were going to go and backdate it to 2000, 15th of December, roughly 6:05 p.m. onwards into the night, and say, right, this was Venus. Now, the following 2 nights, we don't know exactly what point it starts. The timestamp's all wrong. We know that, and we addressed that in part 1. But what we do know is that the moon and Venus and stars, they all move, and we know roughly how they move. And this is how we're able to debunk Venus. And here's the footage. And this is really important footage, and I'll get into why in a second, but you'll see why I held it back. We can see the timestamp to the right of the screen, we can see that roof pitch on the left. And there's Venus on Stellarium. So yeah, Venus was in the sky at roughly the right time, and as we click through the timings, we can see that by about 7:30 to 8 p.m. roughly, Venus is gone. To the right of the screen, we can see the object still there. Okay, agreed, we don't know the exact time, but what we have got is a roof pitch. We've got a roof pitch right here, so we know the exact location that the object was seen in. Depending on where you stood in the garden, this could change the angle slightly from west to southwest, but here's the really important piece of information. This footage is 58 minutes long, and if we skip through from timestamp 120 through to timestamp 218, that's 58 minutes, and the object is static in the sky. It's rotating, it's pulsing something, but it's not moving, certainly not 14.5 to 15 degrees, which is what Venus moves in the sky. Same with other planets. 14.5 to 15 degrees, that object doesn't move for 58 minutes. That's science. By the time 58 minutes passes, Venus and any planet should be long gone. So it can't be Venus. There's just no way. It's just not possible. The International Space Station, well, it's in a completely different direction anyway. We know the direction. It can't be the moon. We know the roof pitch. There's no way around it. It cannot be Venus. We have debunked the debunkers once again. So it's not Venus. It's not the International Space Station. It's definitely not Mars. And we know that for a fact. It can't be, because we know where the roof pitch is, and even if you argue that that's a different roof pitch, I mean, I don't know which one it would be, because we've got a photograph of the garden, we know exactly what house it was, we know exactly what direction, and we know where it is. So, irrelevant. Even if we think it's a completely different address, an object wouldn't be able to stay in the sky for an hour without moving. It's just not how the Earth works. It rotates, and we don't need to get into all of that. We just need to know that 14 to 14.5 degrees per hour, and we've seen what it does for an hour on camera. That's just not possible. So it's not any of those. A hot air balloon, 3 consecutive days at midnight, staying in the same area of the sky, not moving for an entire hour. It's not going to be that. Drones, again, an hour. Technology back in 2000. Battery life, I mean, they barely last 15-20 minutes now for an entire hour. Back in 2000, it's not going to be, is it? So, we've rebunked some of those debunks. It's none of those objects that the debunkers have suggested since part 1 was out. So now that's done, we can put that out of the way. At the moment, we haven't been able to identify this object. So let's get a better look at the object, and the only way of doing that is to go and see my friend Peter Osborne. Now, Peter Osborne is a friend of mine. He also runs Truth in Focus UFO, all one word, which is a YouTube account where he enhances and brings to life UFO footage. He started off originally as an expert on VHS restoration. He worked on horror films from back in the day, colorizes them and brings them to life. And we started working together on a number of videos, from Scott Gearon's UFO footage that he caught. He's an ex-Air Force PJ and JSOC, to the George Knapp USO from the show Investigation Alien, or Alien Investigation, whichever way around, I never get it right. Houston Lights, and also the really incredible footage from Medellin, which is in Colombia. It's the weird looking sphere within a ball, that kind of object that grabs so much attention it's made it into all of the UFO documentaries. We worked on those together. Peter is a fantastic resource when it comes to restoring and enhancing some of the best and most peculiar UFO footage. He's also a really cool guy, and you should check him out and follow him on YouTube. Truth in Focus UFO.
Yo!
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
I had some camera problems. My phone was going to the Zoom thing.
Yeah.
It's not even plugged into it. It was like linked to camera. It's never done that before. So I've gone through the setting. I've been going through different levels. And I think I've found the one that absolutely suits that footage, bringing out some really incredible detail that I haven't seen before. It's brought it through, and something like that anyway. It's like I was saying on my video, I found a preset. I made a preset that worked perfectly with that. Other ones didn't.
Yeah.
Other ones just showing blobs, And then you kind of fine-tune it, and until you get to a level, and you go, oh, that's it. So I really think you ought to come over and have a look, Jimmy. It's much better for you to see it here than it is me sending you through stuff. I can explain to you what I've done and how I've got this, and what you're going to see is incredible.
Once I got the footage processed into an MP4, I then broke it down to frames, into just the original frame state, 30 frames a second, and made a folder with those. Took one of the frames, popped it into an upscaler called a gigapixel upscaler, and blew it up to see if there's anything in there, that I could use if the quality was good enough. It certainly showed something promising, really did. So those frames then I put into Topaz Video Enhancer and played around with different AI models, blending them until it reached, yes, that's the one, from changing from something that's not quite there to something that brings out the depth and detail of what we're looking at. Took down the compression, it looked gorgeous.
I guess the question that people will ask inevitably will be, have you added anything to it, and how did you clean it up? And my understanding is that what you basically do, and sort of the best way is to blow it up to loads and loads of frames, and then basically take the best frames, put them together, and get rid of the ones that are not very good frames, and then sort of stitch the good ones together, or something as close to that.
Yeah, it's what it is playing the film. Say I get the MP4, I've got it in frames, I've got it in a movie state, and then going on what I've used when I'm restoring old movies and Super 8 film, using those different kind of AI models, you can see it changing. You do a preview, it renders, and then you move on. You move the fine tuning on different aspects of the picture, and then you move on to the next AI model and alter those as well. Each time you're bringing out different depths of the image until you get to absolute, yes, that's the one. You know when it's right, because the experience I've had with, like I say, with restoring on the film and working on real people, if it's working real people, that's the best base I can use.
Yeah.
And then from that, break it down again, 120 frames a second. So I'm capturing anything that's kind of moving out of our vision. I'm freezing moments in time, then put them back into a gigapixel, blow them up, massive, 35,000 pixels, 32,000 pixels, I think we can go on that. I can also put them through again. And then we've got the ultimate image. That I can put them into something like, say, DaVinci video editor. I can put them into a video editor and make animations from that of the high resolution pictures, say going out at 4K.
Nice. What did you think about this one then when you saw it? What were your thoughts?
Initially, I thought the video quality was going to be a problem because the speckle that went across, that compression needed fixing. And believe it or not, I managed to do a lot of that in DaVinci, just working in the colour correction wheels. Managed to flatten that out beautifully and bring forward the object. And it revealed some fantastic detail in it. And the purple shades we're getting through, which we've seen before and other things. But it certainly took away that speckle and noise and brought the image through, as you can see.
Oh, I tell you, yeah, it's absolutely what it is, isn't it? But it's like, wow. Ooh. God, there's lots of different shapes.
Take all of their theories and then just pick them apart.
Yeah.
Because the main theory at the moment is either hot air balloon or Venus. Now, hot air balloon for 3 days in a row.
Give me a break.
There's a very bright light in the sky, and it took me a moment to think, is that the moon? Because it was so big. So I had a look round and I spotted the moon, and the moon was completely on the other side of the house. And so I ran back to the back of the house where the camera was, and I had a look at this thing, and it turns out there are actually 3 lights, a large one above it, and one down to the left side of it, so sort of south left side of it. And they just sat there, and one of them could be a planet, one could be a star, I'm not quite sure. But the 2 at the top, the large one and the one above it, are interacting. And they go on to interact all the way through the footage, in as much as the large one drops very, very small, very tight, goes those remarkable colours again, and then blows up and goes almost pixelated and swirls like a giant golf ball. Very, very strange. The one above it seems to dip down and go into the larger object, and then that blooms up, and then it comes back out again, and the big object goes small again. It's like a weird little dance that they're doing, and every time they do this strange little interaction, there are changes in both of them. Just very odd, very interesting. Even if there was a Chinese lantern, it couldn't move like this. It couldn't do this. Even if there was 2, one close, one far away, which could be seen as this, there's no way one could dip down and go back up, and dip down and go back up, and at that particular time the other one bloom and then shrink again and then bloom. It's just very unusual footage, and it makes it unidentified completely. I just thought, this is remarkable. I'm glad I caught it on camera.
Richard, why bring it out now?
So really, your channel. I'm an avid YouTube watcher. I love watching different YouTube channels that explore different things. Spotted your channel, clicked on it, and you were showing something really similar at the time. And I thought, I've got footage just like that. And it kind of rekindled the need to go and find the tape, which I did instantly, put my hand straight on it. And I thought, these are good lads. They look like they're pretty down to earth, and they're exploring exactly the same thing as I would be if I was in that position. Why not get in touch with them and just say, hey, I've got this from 25 years ago, do you want it? And that's what made it come up, and I thought, yeah, you can have it. Add to the channel if that's how you feel, if that's what you want. I'm going to say it's more of a biblical matter for me now. It's more of a spiritual thing. I'm not greatly on board with there are aliens coming from outer space. I believe these beings have always been here. They're technologically and spiritually more advanced than we are. They always have been. It's biblical for me. There are various verses in the Bible that I now read which has blown me away, to evidence what I'm looking at today. There are prophecies that sound like it could be a craft in the air with beings and things coming down from different realms, so on and so forth. That's how it feels to me these days. I don't feel like I'm looking at aliens at all. It feels like I'm looking at the fallen, which have been here, like I say, a long time. They taught men technology, they came in craft, they travel between the realms. It's the same thing. You can say alien, demon, same thing. If you want to believe that it's an alien from another planet, I'm with you, because you can't count it out. For me, it's a little more biblical, and that's it for me now. I see them as the enemy, if you like. So the whole thing has blown up. The press, the government, the whole outlook of it. Space and aliens has become very much part of our daily culture. Nobody batters an eyelid these days. And the video footage online is $2 a penny. A lot of it obviously fake, a lot of it AI, which leaves room for a very small amount these days that you can actually put your finger on and say, hey, we're onto something here. This is unusual. And with the latest New Jersey, America, drones everywhere footage, it's back in the press in a big way, and it's quite an exciting time to be alive. It's either full disclosure at this point, or something's trying to tell us we're here whether you like it or not, and we're going to make ourselves known, and we're no longer afraid to be in your skies with lights on, and we're not darting away from you, we're coming towards you. It's a very strange scenario, but I think the world's ready. As thinkers, we've come a long way, and we're starting to appreciate that we're not alone. It's not just us. We're not the only thing in the universe, if you want to call it a universe. I know I said I'm biblical, but I can't rule it out. We've never been more ready for disclosure than we are now.
So that's it. If you enjoyed this and found value, please consider a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff that really helps with the algorithm. Massive thank you to Richard Fawcett, massive thank you to Peter Osborne, and massive thank you to Tom Vernon. Awesome guys, and without their help we wouldn't have been able to put this together. It was a lot of work, so I would really appreciate that. Lastly, there's a little treat for you at the very, very end, which is an original song by Ezra Kelderman, who is the project manager at the Galileo project. Interesting. He's an awesome musician, and he's made this song. Check it out and listen to the lyrics. Very interesting. Cheers guys, and I'll see you on the next one.
Fuck you to the writers of the hit parade. Objectivity's the goal of this tirade. The universe holds intelligence, we're just a piece of the pie. Put your phones down and your eyes up to the sky. It's 2020, 25, that's over 80 years of lies. Always asking if instead of what and why. Half our taxes toward a suit, he says drones, no threat, no time for rest, 'cause soon they'll hit reset. Fuck you to the foyer full of redactions. Band together, ask questions, seek a truth, raise your glasses. The universe holds on intelligence, we're just a piece of the pie. Turn the news off and your eyes up to the sky. Well, these beings look family related. you lie. UFO, come here, let's talk. Well, the gatekeeper